This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Cool. We got a few people on here today. Move myself around again. So, hey, John, good to see you back.
Good to be back.
I see Kristen there, Robert. Hey, Ron. All right, a fresh face.
Howdy.
Oh, and then there's Jason. Robert, how are you?
Good,
Awesome.
doing good, bud.
All right. This is another one of those where I don't really have an agenda or a topic list or anything like that. Maybe since Ron is the newest that have been on these, and also Kristen, she may just want to hang out and listen. That's fine too. And there's someone else, I don't see what the name is on it. But Ron, are you waiting on a machine or looking, or how are you?
I'm a prospect. I'm looking. I just kind of recently heard about you guys, and I like what I've seen so far. So figured be good to hop on one of these and hear what you guys have to say.
Sure, absolutely. Do you have any questions about the machines or anything right offhand?
I probably should have written some down before, but I'm sure some will come up as you go. But if I do, I'll make sure
I
ask
don't
them.
want to put you on the spot or anything. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm on my wireless lav mic, so I can walk around. Okay. Robert, how you doing, man? Can you hear me, Robert?
Yes, I'm doing good. Thank you, bud.
Awesome. Cool. All right. How about awesome? Are you awesome?
I'm always awesome, man. Total sexy too.
Okay. Hi, Kristen. How are you? May not have audio. And I see Chris over there hiding, doing the shadow thing over there. So, okay, John, have you've had a week or so to do some more reason. How are you doing?
Not only did I wear out the carpet, I wore out the floor underneath it, pacing back and forth. But I did get the rotary in the mail.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's neat, isn't it? You
Good
get
job.
to look at that thing and not have
I think this weekend I'm going to put it in my car and drive down to your place so you can show me how to use it on your machine.
I'll be here.
Yeah, there's a guy on this call. I think he's pretty good about rotary stuff. I just can't remember his name. Brian, do you remember his name?
I'm not sure. I mean, we might actually have to talk to the manufacturer or something.
Oh, that's him. I think that's the guy. Jason, what's up?
Oh, yeah, that guy.
And we got another caller. Is that Kristen coming in on the phone? Did you call in, or you still?
Looks like Greg.
I called in.
Hey, Gary, what's up, man?
Hey, bro.
All right.
Hey, Ron,
Chris,
I was going to ask
say
you,
something.
did you have anything in plan what you want to do with the laser, Ron, or you're just listening in? Oh, yeah, he's eating. Never mind.
Sorry, it's 7:00 Central. I don't know where you guys are. You guys in Texas, right?
I am.
I'm in Tennessee, so I'm central.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's supper time. I just got back from a walk with my dog, and I haven't eaten anything yet. So I have a little frozen pizza off to the side here. Yeah, I've done a bunch of laser stuff over the past like 4 or 5 years, using a laser at the makerspace I attend here in Minneapolis. It's an old full spectrum brand, has a lot of flaws, but it does the job. And I recently I'm turning my garage into a shop, and so I'll finally have my own space to have a laser, and so I'm looking to get my own to do random laser stuff. I don't have like a business to, like an engraving business or anything, but I do a lot of stuff on YouTube, and so I've I primarily want it for making stuff that I put on my YouTube channel. So
Cool. All right. We'd love to see a Thunder on another YouTube channel.
yeah, be cool.
So, Chris, the biggest complaint we hear about these machines is on the newer ones because of the innovation. Oh, well, awesome. You probably feel this too, is, oh, my machine doesn't have what that new one has, because they've evolved from the dual air assist and the TL timer and all that stuff. And now there's the interlock board, for the interlocks, the maintenance board, and you can just push a button and defeat all of those interlocks. Well, I didn't have that. So I took a 1/4-inch phone jack and wired it directly to the controller. So if I want to defeat my interlocks, all I have to do is plug that in so I can run the laser when I'm doing maintenance and adjustments when I need to leave the lid open. So I'll drill some holes in it.
Program that. You can program that out too.
What's that?
You can program that out with Lightburn.
The laser
switch.
You can turn off your switches with the Lightburn.
Oh, yeah, I probably could. There may be an extra relay or two laying around here somewhere.
No, I mean, but the software gets rid of the need for a bypass.
For the interlocks?
Yep.
Correct.
Because I run, like my door runs open all the time.
Oh, you mean changing in the vendor settings, in the machine settings?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, but we don't want to tell people to do that.
Well,
Too late.
I think that's what you just said.
I cheated a different way.
That's not what I meant.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something. So,
Yeah.
anywho, so Ron, what? Every time you start eating, we start asking you questions. I'm gonna watch for your mouth to move. I'm gonna ask you a
Sorry.
question. No, go
Sorry.
ahead if you want to. Are
No
you looking
worries.
at a specific size?
Yeah, I was looking at the is that 3580?
Nova 35. Okay, yeah, that's what I've got.
Is that what's in the background there?
Yeah, 3580.
So, yeah, okay. Yeah, is it it's 35 and then 51? What is it?
Yeah, 35 and then 51, and then you could just go for the 63.
If I wanted to take up my entire garage,
Right.
Is it the 35 watt with the 80, sorry, the 35 inch with the 80 watt tube, that's like flush with the edges, but if you upgrade to the 100 watt tube, then it has the side carriage thing.
The extension for the longer tube is on the 100. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then it's the same thing for the 51, except the 100 is the default size and the 130 watt.
No, I think on the 51, I don't think there's any extensions on it, whether you go with 100 or 130. If I'm not.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
I could be wrong on that. I've never actually seen Nova 51 130. The 100 watt ones are usually a little more popular. I think we get sell a bunch more of the 100 watt machines.
What I'm not really interested in the what do you call it, the extension thing. Like I feel like I wouldn't mind having 100 watt, but I don't love the extension, the extra room required for the 100 watt tube. What
are you going to be doing with it?
It'll primarily be like
cutting or in photos or. Yeah,
probably cutting, not anything like intense. Probably most of the time be 1/4-inch ply.
So when you're looking at the laser tube size, keep in mind that the higher the wattage, the wider the beam. So you're going to have less quality of photo engraving.
Gotcha.
It's stronger to get through and punch through, thicker materials. If you're going to want to do photo realistic engraving, then you may want to go with the lower end.
Gotcha.
Another thing associated with that is the striking voltage. The higher the power of the tube, the higher the striking voltage. So you have to be, the minimum power is less to be able to get a steady beam. And, Chris, interestingly, China measured the spot size on the 80 watt and the 100 watt tubes that they have, and they were just about identical.
Yeah,
I can see 80 watt and 100 watt being very close.
But I mean, I have a 150 watt laser, and the beam size is I mean, I haven't micrometered it or anything, but I mean, it's about equivalent to the 60 watt I have here. The biggest thing is like what Brian was saying is being able to do photos. You have to be able to have a larger gradient or a larger power scale or power curve, and with the larger tube, you don't have that finer power that you do with the lower wattage tubes because they can reach much lower. Like I think that my 60 watt at 100 millimeters a second will fire at about 5% power, somewhere around there, and actually mark. Whereas my 150 watt that I have at the same speed, I would have to be at like 10 or 12% power on that to get it to equate to any kind of marking on the same material.
Yeah, these are pulse width modulated, so actually, it's not a steady beam anyway. It's just really fast pulses, and the faster you go, that can affect it too. You can miss some pulses if you got a really high power one trying to do some fine engraving, it can miss some spots. But people engrave with their 130 watt machines all day long, every day.
I'm a little unfamiliar referring to the speed in millimeters per second because the full spectrum laser is just like 0 to 100, and so I'm just like, oh, it's 50% speed. Like I'm like, what does that translate into in millimeters per second? It's probably on the way slower end. I swear, like that thing at max settings is like,
Well,
man.
a typical laser has 500 millimeter per second open loop steppers in it. So if I had to guess, I would say that the max they could even publish would be 500 millimeters per second. It'd be safe to say that 50% speed would be 250 millimeters per second. Of course, we could look at the specs and see, but I'm not positive. Kind of shoot from the hip.
I haven't had any trouble engraving with my 100 watt 51-100 or the 35-100 when I had it.
Yeah, you do a lot of neat engraving, especially on the wood. I like it on those rounds.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up the engraving part with the higher wattage, because one of my frustrations with the full spectrum laser out of the makerspace is it doesn't, like, there doesn't seem to be a big, this is going to sound really funny, but because I don't think it's always been the case. So I don't know if it's just like someone messed with the software settings, and that's another problem with like using a makerspace computer, like, or people mess with settings that you have no control over, and like, what do they change? But like, I feel like at times there's like little difference between like 1% power and like 70% power, and it's like, like surely this should be like barely a cut or barely an etch, and it's like full blast. So if like a higher wattage is likely to be more prone to that, I'm probably leaning towards the 80 more anyway then.
Well, the faster, I don't know if I understand the question correctly, but the faster you go, the more power you need to compensate for the strike or whatever. I guess what Brian was, the power strike or the when the beam fires.
No, I guess what I meant is like I'll have the power tuned down super low, like regardless of like speed, if it's really fast or really slow, and it's still like just charring or like really cutting deep or etching really deep, as though like I had the power cranked way up. And it's like I don't know what's going on there. But I definitely want to be able to have like fine control between the two extremes. If I do ever want to like do something really low powered, like a light etch on wood or like a dark etch on wood. So
and you'll still be able to with 100 watt.
Yeah.
I said I used to use 150 watt all the time, and not a Thunder, but and I could do photos with it. I can do pretty much anything, but you just got to remember that you have to compensate power and speed, and you have to find that range that works for you.
Yep.
Even though it's higher on 150 watt than it is on a 60 watt, you can still find that range where it'll still work for you, but you'll just on the higher wattage, you just lose the lower end of the scale.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You know, if
I had a 30.
if it's a
I
1
had
to
a
10,
35. Go ahead, Chris. Or
no, I was gonna say if just hypothetically, if it's a 1 to 10 scale, a 150 might find its peak or its sweet spot at 3 or 4, whereas a 60 watt might find it at 1 or 2. It's gonna, you know, so they're gonna be different, but you can usually work around them to where they, you know, just depends on
Sure.
what you're doing. But
Cool.
with my 35-100, you could definitely tell the difference between 10% and 15%. Like it wasn't like you're thinking with your full spectrum. It wasn't like
yeah,
all the same power. There was definite difference in just 5% at the low end.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. And as far as that extension tube goes, if you do decide to get a machine that has one of those, you can lengthen the control cable, the alarm connection, and the tubing to the chiller, and actually set the chiller over under that area, and that way you can at least make some good use of it.
If I did decide to get the 80 watt and then later one to upgrade to 100 watt, is the extension thing, can be added later, or do you have to get the 100 watt to begin with?
I'd have to check with them to make sure we can get it. I'm sure we can. I've never actually sold one before. But
Okay.
yeah, you can put in a different, I think you'll have to put a different power supply in, 100 watt power supply, and of course the tube, but I think the tube mounts and everything are the same. I think they'll
Okay.
work.
Cool.
Just get a 51-100 and be done.
Did I mention it's only a 2-car garage? It's not like, the laser's already going to take
I
up a
needed a
pretty.
shoehorn to get mine in.
What's that?
I bought a 35-100 and had it for about an hour and a half and realized I wanted the 51, but I ended up keeping it for about 6 months before I was able to get a 51.
Gotcha. No, I don't think I'm ever gonna like need to be cutting anything that big.
you say
And-
that now.
Yeah.
I do like
Never say never.
I do like the pass through is just like a default feature of the machine. Do people who own those, do you guys get good use out of that? No,
Yeah,
don't use it.
there's quite a few. I don't, unless somebody has a problem. I don't make things much. I just do tests and samples and that. But we've got a few people that are using it, and it is handy. And that's another good thing about the 51 is you can fit a full 4x8 sheet through the pass through in a 51.
I think that actually, now that I'm remembering how I heard of you guys, because I do that, like I forget where I heard of something, and then I'm just like down a rabbit hole. I'm like, wait, I think I saw something on Reddit. Someone had posted on the laser cutting subreddit a function of light burn where you can basically do the reference marks on a pass-through machine to like continue the cut, even if the angles change or whatever. And I think the laser they were using in their video was a Nova 24 or something like that. And then I went down a rabbit hole searching you guys.
I have to check that out.
Yeah. It was like
Definitely possible.
It was more lean towards like a light burn tutorial, but I'm like, wait, what are you using here?
Yeah, it's possible.
Chris
But
did a good post about using the pass through on his House of Lasers group.
And how to line it up and how to use different types of jigs to get stuff through.
Yeah.
speaking of jigs,
I'm not dancing again.
no, I sent Brian something a little special.
Oh, the clamps? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah, I got them right here.
yeah, I see him.
I've been
Is
using
that the
them.
bar clamps I mentioned on the post somewhere?
Now did those end up working? For the
Yeah, the flat ones did. I haven't tried the L-shaped ones yet.
come on, man.
So I dug
You
into
send them
one
to
of
me,
them.
I'll try them.
I dug into one of them with the nozzle because I was focused into the material a little bit. But other than that, yeah, they're awesome. It didn't even budge.
You should have enough. I think they're only about 4 millimeters, 4.5 millimeters tall.
Yeah. Yeah. When I got it focused right, when I had it back the right way, just to the surface, I had a couple millimeters of room,
Okay.
maybe a millimeter and a half. But
If you're autofocused or focused at all, you shouldn't have any issues hitting them.
yeah. So, yep, they seem to do real well.
You got to
I'm
get
gonna
the
jump
blades.
off and jump back on where I can see you guys. I want to see that thing that Jason sent you.
Okay.
You got to check out those L and see if they work. That's the biggest.
Yeah.
That's the biggest.
I told you I was going to pull my honeycomb out and check on those. I just now pulled the honeycomb out today. I was finishing up on some backlog stuff. So.
Yeah, I wish I had your problem. I barely got enough time to breathe.
Did anybody get one of the new lasers with the pull-out trays or not yet?
I think there's one or two of those that are rolling out. I think it'll be a while on the Nova 24. I think they put it on a few of the Nova 35s, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Well, I was just looking for feedback. How did it come out? Since I haven't
they're still rolling those out. I don't know if they've hit the ground yet. They may have, the ones that have those. So I have to check on that.
So Ron, that's another cool thing you're gonna get on the new one, is that there's a tray that catches it all. You basically just pull it out. It's like a
all the cutout stuff in the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That did cross my mind because I saw one of the videos you guys had on YouTube where someone opened and then all the stuff had fallen on the bottom, and I'm like, even the crappy old full spectrum had a nice tray to catch it all. So that'd be nice that the new ones have a tray. I put up with vacuuming it out, but that's nice. I had thought of a question, now I forgot it already.
Yeah.
I remember it. I'm pretty sure, but I wanted to make sure because I just got done wiring my garage and I'm in the process of putting insulation up. And so before I do, in case I need to run an extra circuit, I see the specs for the 35, say dedicated 20 amp circuit. Is that counting? I know the chiller and the exhaust fan plug into the back of the laser. Is that 20 amp circuit good for everything?
So I don't know which specifications that were published that you saw. They're just now integrating the power for the chiller into the machine as well. That's new.
Yep.
The machine that I got, and it's about a year old, the chiller has a standard plug on it. However, I am running my machine and my chiller on a single dedicated 20 amp outlet with about a 30-foot run.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Work.
What's that?
No, I'm saying that with the new machines, I'm wondering how well it's going to work to have all three of those units in one power cord.
I think all the way up to the 100 watt, I think it'll be okay. I think the 130 watt one, it might be pushing the envelope a little bit on the current draw because it has an actual 20 amp plug on it.
Yeah.
So if you have the chiller on it, and it pulls quite a bit, so it's going to be borderline. But we've got people running 63 130s with the chiller on the same circuit on a dedicated 20, and they're not getting a lot of failures.
I'm just saying the bigger you go, I mean, I can only imagine it's going to be worse. If it was a 220, then that would be one thing. This 220 at 20 amps draws a lot less than 110 at 20 amps. So
yeah, it's like half amps.
Yeah.
But,
or half a load, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, I went a little overkill on wiring my garage, so even if that one circuit was overloaded or it wasn't enough to handle all three, I do have a couple circuits nearby that are on a separate breaker. So
I would do it anyways, just my personal opinion on it, but because when you think about when the chiller kicks on, it's going to draw quite a bit of load.
Mm-hmm.
When it initially kicks on, and that's obviously going to take away power from the laser to some degree. So you could have weak spots in the beam at that point, or the weakness in the laser potentially. I don't know.
Doesn't the chiller kick on before the laser before it even start the job? Doesn't the chiller just?
The chiller is
It's
going to
constantly cycling.
It's going to cycle to maintain this whatever temperature you set it to maintain.
Okay.
So in the middle of it, because I know on mine I had it set up on a single 15 amp outlet for the laser and the chiller, and every time the chiller would come on, the lights would dim, and you'd hear a change in the pitch of the motors on the laser when it's engraving, which would translate to either
Dim spot or
a deeper cut or a weaker cut.
yeah.
So just me personally, I like to keep them on separate circuits like I have it now, but just to prevent that from happening. And that's what I was talking about with them combining everything into one. I don't know how that's.
Are they, Brian, are they fighting that in any way? Are they trying to retroactively prepare for that?
Because the thing is they're running in 220 over there, right?
In
I believe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
China's 220.
So I mean, if they're running 220, I mean, have they even efficiently tested it at 110?
That's true.
Because like I said, at 220, you're only drawing half the current, even though the you can't hear you, Brian.
No, we
Battery
still
is
can't hear
dead.
you. No, it's mute. Now it's unmute. Nope.
Nope.
Your wireless battery's dead, just like Chris said.
Maybe that's what that audio crackle we heard was.
Yeah. Something crapped out.
Ron,
I see, Chris, you're shaking your head, so you get what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, and mine was really bad at very, very low power, obviously, when doing photos, on a 40 watt, and any fluctuation in power just dropped. I mean, I would just had lines and I could see where it would cycle. It would be perfect and then drop power and then perfect and then drop power. So I could see it cycling, and that was on a 40 watt, but I was also running maybe about 10% power. So I was really, really low where it was really fragile. I can see being up there in, 50, 60, 80% power, you're not going to be seeing it as much. But that low, it was basically almost shutting it off.
Yeah, but the bigger thing is like I was saying, is if they actually tested it.
No, I completely agree. I didn't even think about them doing all their tests at 220. They can't replicate what we're replicating here. They're going to have to downscale.
Yeah.
That's actually a good segue to like one of my questions. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship between the Chinese company and you guys and like the Thunder USA? Like, how does that work? Are they like developing the hardware and then you guys are like
Can you hear me
putting
now?
finishing touches on it?
Brian, we can hear you.
Brian can speak better to it, but it's the same company, or it's Thunder Laser. And I don't know if Brian's back up or not, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Thunder Laser USA is a branch of Thunder Laser that has U.S. support, U.S. Basically U.S. everything. It's still the same machines.
They're doing all the production in China.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me, since my mic got killed, they do have 110 there because they have step downs because they have to test all of our 110 machines before they go out in QC. So they test them at 110.
But do they lab test it, or they just equipment test it?
They probably don't field test it, is what you're getting at, or they like
put it to use instead of just turning it on and say, "Yep, everything works," and then put it in a box and shipping it.
No, they try it, they test it, they cut every one of those pieces of acrylic that come with it.
Yeah, Brian, but Jason's got a good point though. Jason's saying that cutting for a test like that is fine. But what happens when you do a long run, like Chris was saying, when you run a photo and then the compressor runs a couple of times in between the photo? What have they done that QC part of it?
I'm sure they have. I mean, they test them extensively.
There's like right now, I have a APC power supply that's supposed to also stabilize the voltage, and unless they factor that into it, I can only see that problem happening again.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't had any reports of it yet, so we're monitoring it. So as far as the relationship between Thunder China and us, we buy the from China, but I don't know who that is, but I'm going to mute some people if I can make it stop.
You kind of cut out a little bit there. I didn't hear all that.
Um,
Maybe sit closer to your computer if you're not on your normal microphone anymore.
Forget that I'm not on my remote one. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I think so.
So the relationship is all of our machines, which I think is different from all the others. They're all built there in China to our specifications instead of them buying it from somebody else and tearing out all the wires and doing all that fixing and that kind of thing, before you can even ship them out. So we've got a really good relationship with them. What are you laughing about?
Nothing.
So, if there's something going on, we can email them and they're responding to us that evening. I mean, so we work closely every day together with engineering and innovation.
Because one of the things I was like, I've been toying with was like, I know they're like the K40 community is pretty avid, or pretty, there's a lot of people doing K40 lasers, but like I know they come, straight from China with a lot of issues, like because the quality control isn't there, and like I was like trying to decide if I'm like interested in tinkering because I'm a tinker, but like how much work do I want to put into a machine, and that time takes away from actual cool stuff you can do with it. So I'm like, I guess my question is about the quality control. It's like having the U.S. support like is nice because then it's like kind of vouching for the company, so to speak, or vouching for the Chinese company, so to speak.
I'm waiting to hop in.
Go on. I see your Thunder support over there, so.
Yeah. Well, I am, but I come from owning a $40,000 laser.
Sure.
That was truly a China machine, and I had them next to each other, and the build quality and the materials used on a Thunder laser, and not just because I'm part of their tech support, is, and you would think that one was the $15,000 laser or even cheaper, and mine was the $40,000 laser. So the build quality on it, bar none, is the best one I've seen, and I've seen a ton of them. It's insane. Just the quality that goes into wiring those things. They have everything labeled with tracing numbers, so if something did go wrong, it would be easy for us to figure out what the problem was. Where the rest of them are pretty much in a bundle, and good luck figuring it out. A lot of them don't even have schematics for it.
Sure.
So at least with this, we can trace and we can figure stuff out. But build quality, the thickness of the metals, the thickness of the aluminum, insane.
I think one of the members posted in our group that he's a wiring person, like for SCADA operation stuff, and he said he was totally impressed when he saw the wiring. He's like, man, that's some quality work done.
Yeah, and that's my background too. I come from 12-volt car audio, used to build crazy systems, and this is like looking in your breaker box in your house. I mean, this is done correctly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Not just the wiring. I had a guy in looking at. I do the demo location. I had a guy in looking at the Thunder laser. He used to have a red and black Chinese, and I lifted the lid, and he's just like, "Oh my goodness! Look how the gantry is. Look how smooth this runs. Look how." And then we started running. He couldn't believe the power difference. He was running 100 watt. Mine was 100 watt. And he brought his file from Lightburn with his numbers, and when we were engraving almost completely through the piece of wood that he brought that was his wood that he ran on his 100 watt. So the Thunders are just that much more powerful for our 100 compared to theirs.
I think I do think the quality of the power supplies and stuff like that are on a different level. So they are more efficient. They are more flexible. Like even that firing point they were talking about for being 100 watt, where maybe you're going to turn on, you're going to excite that. Everybody hear that?
No, Kristen
Yeah.
wants to come in, so that's okay. She's setting it up. Give her a minute. She'll be fine in a minute. There you go.
Sorry.
Once we're done, she's up next. She's been trying to talk to us for a while.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So
Kristen,
anyway,
turn your speaker down completely. And then mute your phone. That'll be a much better thing for Chris to talk now.
There we go.
Is that better?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. You know, I was just going to say, I know that there's been a lot of vendor support people talking, but I am just a customer. And I would say I'm also not like a machinist. I am a calligrapher by trade. I literally know nothing about this kind of stuff. I'm not good with computers unless it's like an Excel spreadsheet. And other than that, I'm like just pen and paper. So I would say one of the big problems that we had when the machine came in was it actually wasn't wired correctly. The wire that they, like literally like the plug that goes into the wall. And we couldn't figure out what was wrong. And China got on the phone with me and they literally they did a WeChat call and they walked me through all the different troubleshooting areas, and they were able to actually find out that it was the wire. I mean, we had to go through a ton of steps, but we were able to actually open up the wire, find out what was wrong with it. I thought they were going to have to ship me a new wire, but they literally walked me through rewiring everything. I was terrified to do that, but it was super simple and it worked. And they've actually had quite a few. I think I just had a lemon, and they walked me through every single thing to troubleshoot. And then they actually had sent me components because some of the components that I had were damaged. And so they sent me all those parts. They didn't hesitate. They didn't lag and take forever to get back to me. So I was really impressed with that. And I always tell people when they're looking for the laser that in and of itself sold me, because I was like, wow, I've bought so many other things where people just like literally just leave me
like
on the side.
It's like the sale's done.
Totally.
Thanks, bye. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and go back to what you were talking about before about the things that make that different, all of the quality control. For instance, the tubes they have to produce 10% overrated power. As a matter of fact, they reject quite a few tubes, not because they're terrible, just because they're not up to their specs. The bed has to be within 0.5 millimeter in all four corners of being level. So the tolerances are very tight, and there's a stigma that follows all of these Chinese clones, because I started with a ULS laser, and then I got into the Chinese clones and did a whole bunch of K40s. And so I know exactly what you're talking about. So everybody looks at Chinese lasers and they're looking at all the eBay lasers and the X700 clones and the red and blacks and the yellow and blacks and all of these other ones. And you see all the nightmares people go through about them. So then they associate that with China, the high-end Chinese lasers. And I can assure you that is furthest from the truth. About 92% of the people that pull these out of the box and hook the chiller and the exhaust and the air pump up just start running right out of the box. They don't have to adjust a thing. And that's the way we like it to work. That's what we strive for. So, there's a lot to be said for that too, I think. But I'm glad I'm sorry you had that experience, Kristen, but I'm glad that we can resolve it. See, I come from a background of on-site technical repair, where I'm trained on the machines and I go to them and I fix them, and you help fix the customer at the same time, any issues they have, and then you go home or go back to the shop. And it's a challenge because I'm using all the end users. They're my eyes and my ears. So I'm relying, on you guys as a user, even if you don't know anything about the machine, to do some detective work with me. And so it's been real challenging, but it's rewarding because it's nice to see people who've, because that's like an alien spacecraft landing in your garage, when that laser shows up. And it's cool that people with our instruction can actually go through some of those more difficult things so easily. So I'm kind of proud of that too.
Cool.
Anyway,
I'm gonna say, Kristen, can you show what the heck you've been working on for so hard?
Who's that?
No, I'm just doing some of these right now.
Are you using that little toy that comes from Rotoboss by any chance to do those?
Am I
Yeah, you
using
don't-
what?
He's not there,
You
so I
don't-
can make fun. Oh shit, he's back.
My ears are burning.
Yeah. So if you're using one of our rotaries, Jason is the rotary guy. So that's what Austin was referring to. So
Yeah.
By the way, that looked pretty good, Kristen.
Thanks. Usually I have a lot of calligraphy work on here, but I just closed down my actual form of income before was a daycare, and so I just shut that down, and so I'm kind of scrambling to just get whatever jobs I can get now. One of the issues that I've actually been having with this particular job is I've had to run it a couple of times, and I don't know how often you guys clean your lenses, but when I started the jobs, they were doing totally fine, and then now I have to run them 2 passes to get it like this, and then I have to kind of, I have to clean it up because I think this part's all melted, right? Do you guys usually have
Is your
to
air
do
assist?
that, or what'd you say?
Is your air assist on?
Yeah.
A good bit or just a little bit?
have you checked
25 to 30 psi.
No. The little knobs on top of your machine, those have to be turned on. If they're not turned on, then the smoke is going to get up underneath there into your nozzle, and that's probably why you're seeing a decrease in performance, because that debris is getting up there where the air should be blowing it out. So if you don't have
So is the air assist screw thing, is that the same thing as the?
If you look on your machine, you see the 2 silver knobs. Right on your left-hand side, you'll see the 2 silver knobs. Maybe Brian can show you on his.
Yeah,
But I
Brian,
opened both of those up all the way. I don't even regulate the air. Whatever comes out comes out. But the thing is even if your compressor is set up, do I need to do this, Brian?
Yeah. My mouse.
all those fancy cameras he has.
That's
He's
right.
only got 3 cameras.
There we go.
There we go.
That's because Chris made fun of his beard last week. He has to get back away so nobody can see it and shave.
Yeah. So the way that works is here's your low volume air, and that's selected in Lightburn. If you turn air assist off in Lightburn, it gives you low volume, and you can test it by hitting that green button. Then you can put your finger under there and feel for the air, and you can also hear it, and then you can make adjustments.
So my machine doesn't look like that at all.
I'm sorry?
Mine doesn't have all that stuff on the left side.
You should have those knobs.
You might have a Mini 60.
Oh, okay.
You have a Mini 60, or is your machine older?
I have a 51, a Nova 51. I got it like last year.
Okay. Yeah, that was.
So I don't know if that's older, but
It's a little older. That was when they started rolling out the dual air assist. So you probably got one of the last ones that didn't have the dual air assist. In your case, there'll be a knob on the back side of the gantry. If you'll follow that blue airline from the nozzle through the cable, back there on the back of the gantry, there's a knob, an adjustment knob, and you can adjust your flow rate of your air with that knob on the back of the gantry.
Yeah, so I've opened that all the way, and then I put the PSI. I set it to 20. It's either 25 or 30. Does that sound about right?
You're running external air then, right? You're running an external compressor and not the factory one?
Yeah, I just put in a cobalt.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. I haven't, matter of fact, I've got a Cali Air ultra quiet coming. I got tired of saying I was going to get one. So I've got one.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say the other thing too is if you're running an external air compressor, you need to have some sort of air drying system in it if you don't already, because the air buildup will send the water, or the water condensation will send it through, and you actually damage your lens that way too.
Yeah, I put the that thing in, the filter thing. I put that in. We also have the air compressor. I kind of feel like since I put the compressor in, it hasn't really. I don't know if I did something wrong, but I kind of feel like since then it started running really clean, and then all of a sudden it just started not cutting all the way through. I wish I could bring my camera over so that I could show you what I have sitting in there right now, but it's basically like inside here where it's supposed to be filled. It's got a bunch of lines, and I have to make a second pass. And
sounds like a step issue.
Yeah, that or the line interval is off.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Steps per or circle pulse, not circle pulse. Your yeah.
Interval.
What do you guys? I have it at 0.07. What should it be at?
That sounds about right, actually. You might try pulling a millimeter out of focus.
It sounds really wrong, actually, because it's in millimeters, not in inches.
Huh?
all these inches, Bubba's. You gotta get with the program. Go millimeters.
The 0.08 is millimeters for the scan gap for the line interval. I mean inches, isn't it?
The only other thing I can think is, Kristen, is probably the brand you're using. I mean, is it consistently doing that or inconsistent? Maybe the coating is.
I normally use these, but this shipment that I got, I didn't know if it was. I guess it could be the shipment that I got in, because this is like a whole new box of stuff that just came in.
Oh, are they Polar Camel?
Okay.
Are those dark?
Are they Polar Camel brand?
Are they what?
Polar Camel brand from JDS?
No, it's Save a Cup.
They're basically the same thing, Gary.
Okay.
Well, I know
the same
that JDS has told me that some of them are double coated, and the only way you can tell is if you have to run it twice.
Yeah, if you want, you can submit a support ticket, Kristen, and we can, work through some of that and see if we can determine exactly what's going on. Be glad to.
Well, the good thing is you got a rotary that allows you to do it more than once.
If you have any, I was gonna say, if you have any like different brand tumblers from like testing in the past, like sitting around, it might be worthwhile to test it on another one and see if it has that same problem.
Well, the thing is you want to try to stay consistent with whatever you're doing. If you're supplying the cups, it's best if you find a brand, whatever it is, Yeti all the way down to Ozark or whatever it is, but find you a good brand that you are comfortable doing and stick with it. That'll eliminate a lot of headache on your end, because some cups are powder coated, some are Dura coated, some are Cera coated, there's so many different coatings out there, and they're all different thicknesses. So I mean, if you're going to make a consistent run of a certain type of cup or a push to sell them, I would recommend getting one brand and sticking with it.
And also keep in mind that they're not made to be engraved. So the amount of layers they have on there doesn't matter because the end user is not going to see it. Now, it's not until we start engraving it do we realize, oh shit, well, this half of the cup has almost double coating where the other side of the cup isn't. I've also noticed that they're not round and they will come in and out of focus depending on the brand.
Yeah.
You could actually see them kind of wobble.
I get a lot of flack for that, but
what?
Well, for the out of round cups and things like that, and they're not always the same length. They're not always the same length either.
No, they're not always the same length. I mean, I own a tumbler company. We manufacture them, so I see the differences that come in, and even mine. There's no control over that. It's just whatever happens in China, But ours are coated thinner, so they can be engraved. These ones that I'm running a couple now that are impossible. I had to run them 3 times.
Dang.
On my 40 watt just because.
What's your brand?
I wasn't trying to plug anything.
Don't worry, Kristen. I spray coat those for him.
I was going to say, Rotoboss over here has his logo up in the background, so don't worry.
That's true. Latazza.
What is it?
Latazza.
Okay.
It's the cup in Italian. We're going to the House of Lasers, and all the discount codes are there for several different companies, including ours. But we're fighting right now with COVID and getting restocked. But we still have a ton of stuff.
I see. Let me interrupt for a minute. I see Greg J. Is that Greg Judy?
Yes, he's been in here. He's been in here for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to have dinner.
Is there, so that's cool. Had a few other people pop in. So yeah, and I've noticed the difference in tumblers, even in the color, even among the same brands.
I've seen some cups where you engrave them and you'll find another engraving underneath them.
Yeah.
Well, no, like someone was saying, they just recoat them. Well, if there's a nick or scratch or, for whatever reason, I mean, I've seen cups where you engrave something and you'll see a shadow on the stainless where it was already engraved with something, but it was just coated back over.
I could see there being like a market for all the laser engravers out there with their like test tumblers that are worthless to them. They just like sell them back to the manufacturer with a new layer of coating on them and sell them back. That'd be
No,
funny.
Robert's got a solution for that. Yeah, I think he puts it in acid.
Got a business plan right here. There we go.
You're right.
Send me your test tumblers.
Gotta have the whole box.
I got a couple boxes.
Kristen, you can take it all off and then just test the what's the one? Ceramark or whatever.
Ceramark, yeah.
No, Brian said he did a test on one he liked.
So he basically just lasers the whole entire thing.
No. They actually, where's Robert? You still on, buddy, or you left?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah,
Tell
if
Kristen
you
the
take
secret weapon.
if you take a paper towel and soak it in acetone and wrap that cup and then wrap the cup with tin foil and let it set for about 10 or 15 minutes, that
it will explode.
will come right off.
I love how it kind of sounds like a science experiment gone wrong, but like probably work. No,
it works
That
good.
sounds like what they do.
Probably 30 cups that way.
Does the tinfoil have an explicit purpose, or just to keep air out?
No, it actually, what it does, Ron, is it presses the paper towel with the acetone to the cup.
Closer to the cup? Okay.
Yep.
It helps keep the heat in from the chemical reaction.
I don't know if that's an exothermic reaction or it's just dissolving it. But
it doesn't get hot at all. I mean,
yeah.
you don't feel any kind of heat. But if you let it sit, it'll just dry up and re-adhere again. So if you forget, you're starting all over again.
Well, it
If
can't be
anything,
that bad for you because that's what they do at the nail shop to take off and get
Oh, yeah, not bad
acrylic
for you at
metal.
all.
That's what they do.
Yep.
Yeah, I do pens too. So when I screw up one, I just throw it in acetone, and a couple hours later, I get my tube right back.
Yeah, try it. It works.
Oh, I will.
Yeah,
'cause I got a
Brian.
whole bunch of
Brian, this is Greg and Judy.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Hey, man.
Yeah, Greg and I spent a lot of time together the other day.
Yeah, remotely.
Remotely. Kind of hard things. Is
Yeah, the
everything?
tech support tie-in from China was great. Checking through on the USB controller, and then Brian got me back together with it all in, and so I've been listening in. Just didn't have a way to talk or show a face. So anyway,
I'm glad you joined us. I can keep this going at 7:55. You can do it today. If anybody has anything else, we'll go to them all. I don't care. Let's see. Anybody else have anything? Gary, do you have anything?
Well, I was just going to tell Ron that UPS dropped something on my crate that was holding my 51, and hit it hard enough that they broke all four supports on the top, busted up my lid, and between Brian and China, everything's been great. They were very helpful. China's messaged me 3 or 4 times. Hey, did you engrave? Hey, did you cut? Everything's working okay? Do you need any parts? Well, I think I ended that yesterday. I said, yeah, I could use a spare tube for the future, but I think that got shut down. But I figured if they're going to keep asking, I'm going to have to tell them.
So that actually
Cooking for something. I'm getting back to you.
that actually brings, I guess, another question to mind. Based on your story, I'm sorry I didn't get your name. Who just
Gary.
told Gary?
Gary.
Gary. And Kristen, you both mentioned like the Chinese support. When do we like use U.S. support, U.S.-based support, like talk to Chris over here, or like the Chinese-based support? Is it depending on the problem, or?
The first line of defense is always U.S. support. They are there, and in case we need them, they do have access to our ticket system. That's why I'm trying to push everybody toward it now, so they can go in there and look at all of the open service things. And then if we escalate it, then they'll jump in and help. So
Okay, gotcha.
they're just a valuable resource. They've amassed 20 years of however many years of data. So they're really good to work with. But the front line, we'll triage it, and then if we run into something where we need their help, or if they see something that they want to, pop in there, they're welcome to pop in and, provide solutions and things like that as well.
And Brian didn't have a spare 51 top laying around.
Yeah, we've got one on the way. I think it missed the last.
Yeah, it's coming.
On the next one.
Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, it's good. But that's the reason I went to China. Well, China contacted me because Brian put it into the tech support, and they WeChatted me and asked, hey, what's going on? Send photos. I already had photos to Brian, and all of Thunder Laser, I think, saw those photos, and they were just really, really receptive, really helpful. Brian and Chris have been, lifesavers at times. Usually operator error related, but you never know.
Ron, kind of to also piggyback off your question, like for me, I reach out to China a lot on WeChat when I am working late at night because I don't want to bother anybody else that might be sleeping. So like right now it's 6 o'clock my time, and that's when China is logging on. So I tend to work late at night, so it's helpful for me because I don't have to sit around and hope that someone sees my question.
That's a good call too. Cool.
Something else I might mention, I've been surprised at how well the Facebook groups. A lot of times somebody will put a question up, hey, I got a problem, and within 30 minutes or less, there may be 3 or 4 people or Brian, somebody putting something in about, oh, I had that problem. Here's what I did. Here's the video to go watch.
Yep.
So that's been fantastic.
I think the laser community as a whole is pretty impressive. But there's a couple forums out there that are pretty obnoxious, where you say something that doesn't make any sense and wrong, and they're on top of you like, what are you doing, you moron? For the most part, most of these guys are really, really good in most of the forums. I'm impressed.
Yeah, and that's different, and Ron, you mentioned the K40, so you've probably been in some of the generic, K40 and Chinese groups, and they're dumpster fires in there every day. And that's something that you just don't really see in the global groups, in the Thunder group.
Yeah.
And the global group, that's not even managed by Thunder Laser. That's just a fan, and a Thunder Laser user. So, but yeah, the groups that are Thunder specific, especially, are super resources.
Yeah, that's the cool part about that group. It's not run by Thunder. It's run by actually a user. I'm actually one of the first ones to join that group because I suggested, yeah, why don't we just go global? Because that was part of his other group.
Because your machine's so old?
Oh, shut up. Here we go again. See, I got to take all
Are
this.
you really
I pitch, but I
ostracizing the Thunder veterans over here? Come on, man.
yeah. But at least I
Wear
get
it
to
with
be
pride.
Yeah.
By the way, what's up with the giveaways? Are we all decide on the shirt finally, or what?
Oh, that's above my pay grade. You have to talk to Clay about that. I don't want to give away anything.
Whatever.
No, I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. So I ordered some more Lightburn shirts too. So I'm gonna, instead of wearing the company polo every day, I'm gonna finally get some variety. So
I can send you some swag.
I was gonna say Jason's got some swag. I know his swag looks more cooler.
My favorite shirt is a Lightburn shirt. I've just worn it today. I've worn it out. There's nothing left.
Wait until you see the Rotoboss shirt.
We're getting Thunder Laser shirts in.
Are we?
Yeah.
Hey,
What's up?
So yeah, that's cool. You think you'll give me one?
If you're good.
Yeah, there you go.
I can guarantee that, but I'll do my best.
So Ron, from my side, I've had mine 4 years, back in March or something. So I've seen these guys grow, and basically every year I just give Brian hell, like, oh damn, come on man, I don't have that feature. How come they have it, I don't? So I think even Clay made a comment on when he got the newest 35, he was dancing like, oh my god, look at all those cool upgrades.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, they're improving, so that's the best part. They don't just sit there and say, yeah, good luck, and here's the old crud from last year. No, they keep coming up with new ideas.
That's cool. I that's like one of the tells I look for when I'm shopping around for something like this, or even way smaller price tags, is like the innovation and the growth over time. Like it's nice to see like you guys not just being a stagnant company that's like selling the same product that you sold like 10 years ago.
No,
5 years ago.
You'll see on the Brian's screen, there's a little tiny little machine next to his big one. That's their latest and greatest. It's well, Brian, why don't you give the spiel and then we can call it quits for the day.
Quits. Still young.
Oh God, here goes the camera. That's not going to work.
Oh, look, it's working.
That's working. So this, I got stuff all over it. This is the Odin 22. Let me move some of this stuff. It's an RF tube machine. It's air cooled, 30-watt source in it right now. I don't know if you can hear me because I'm trying to use my desk mic at the same time. But
I can hear.
It will do 2,000 millimeters per second with those little bitty NEMA 17 5-phase open loop steppers, believe it or not. And the head is ultra light, and it's just on spring-loaded neoprene rollers, and it's an incredible little machine. But you know, it'll compete with Epilogue. It does have a honeycomb that comes with it too, but yeah, that's the 22 with Lightburn cam installed. I don't know if the production models have that or not. This is a prototype, so it's a pretty neat little unit.
Cool.
So yeah, they're constantly advancing, so that's a good sign. If they're stagnant, I wouldn't be here. I'd be somewhere else by now. Because I used to be a FS laser owner, so that's why I kind of laugh when you say FS. Like, oh, yep, yeah, I know all about those things.
Brian, you're acting like I did when I was a kid at Walmart. When I was when I was a kid at Walmart, like pointing the camera at the TV.
Or go up to the Commodore 64, you know, and do some basic in there, you know, output a text file, and then just go to 10 and just let it scream, you know, all over the screen.
Did you just say Commodore 64?
Yeah, man.
Holy smokes, dude! I used to own one.
I thought that's what was running that laser of yours.
I had a TI 99 4A before the Commodore 64.
Thank God.
The Pong.
Yeah, Timex Sinclair. I had one of those. That's how I learned machine language. That little bitty dude. The good old days. So.
Hey, quick random question about the Nova 35 before we wrap it up. I know everything maybe looks bigger on camera, but I saw the Z height or the max Z height on the specs is like 9.1 inches. It looked when I've seen in one of the videos I saw that it was like all the way lowered. It looked deeper than 9.1 inches. I know that's probably from the head to the base of the bed, but is it deeper? My eyes just deceive me, or is it like the 9.1 inches there?
It's about that. If you measure from the auto, you know, from the focal, you know, the autofocus sensor.
Yep.
It's about inches.
Okay. Cool.
Is that with honeycomb and blades on, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you
it's actually a little more with the honeycomb off then.
You probably got it.
One of my interests in getting a machine that can go deeper, because like the Glowforge, I know it's super basic, but like one of the things that drives me and it's nuts about like the limitations of the Glowforge is that its max Z height is like only 2 inches. It's like you can't do anything thick in there at all. I think Glowforge could do some good for themselves by like making the bottom removable and like put on riser blocks or something. But I digress. Like one of the things I'm interested in is getting into wood turning and carving bowls. And I'd love to be able to like laser etch my logo and stuff on the bottom of the bowl if I were to sell it or something like that. And so the bowls aren't going to be huge, but I want a laser bed that's deep enough to like accommodate a bowl that's upside down. And so the 9.1, that should be plenty deep, and then if I can remove the honeycomb and gain another inch or inch and a half or something, that'd be swell. So cool.
And I've seen people take blades out also, you know, and chalk up whatever it is with decks of cards or cardboard boxes or whatever they have laying around, you know, and just set it right down on the bottom of the frame, which is actually, you don't want to put a lot
so you
of
can take the blades out and make it even deeper in theory?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I
That's good.
wouldn't put anything very heavy on there because there's just some little sheet metal, stamped sheet metal parts for the fan, you know, for the belts. Wouldn't want to collapse stuff. Don't put a headstone in there, probably.
Yeah, don't put a giant piece of granite and open a headstone business or anything. Good call. Cool.
Right. Well, cool, guys. I think I'm going to jump off here and run and grab a bite myself. But I appreciate everybody joining. And one thing I want to start doing, and Chris, I still haven't called you about this thing. I'll talk to you about it tomorrow. I'd like to do a couple of these webinars that are actually more into doing the design and photo manipulation and more actual working with the laser, you know, and producing things and workflows and that kind of thing instead of just talking about the machine, you know. And that can be in addition to these webinars that we do as well. So I'm working on a surprise guest, Chris.
I would definitely upvote that as what's that? Oh, I would definitely upvote that because like while I tend to learn software pretty quickly, I don't know anything about Lightburn, so I'm gonna have to ramp up on Lightburn pretty quickly if I go ahead and purchase one of these soon. So
Very easy to learn and very easy to teach.
What's that?
Very easy to learn and very easy to teach.
So
yeah, I'll probably I do most of my design work in Adobe Illustrator, so I mostly just need to know like the print setting or like the send to laser settings and stuff. I love Illustrator. Don't shake your head at me.
Illustrator is way better. I've done Corel, Illustrator, and Lightburn, and I can replicate just about everything I need to in Lightburn without having to do other programs.
Well, the problem with AI is a lot of it's built on layers, and the lasers don't like layers.
Well, one of my workflow steps that I currently I just had to do because the laser at the maker or the computer at the makerspace doesn't have Illustrator, so I just like save as a vector PDF and then print individual layers at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks,
I'm going to turn off the record now.